I guess we'll start.
Yeah, what's the topic again? Get started.
Getting started.
How to start a podcast.
Step 1, create a schedule. Step 2,
ignore it for 3 weeks. You start it when you're good and ready.
All right, you ready?
Yep.
I forgot our intro.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up? Welcome to this is episode 5, right? We've been gone for a few weeks.
Yeah, we really
Welcome
have.
to episode 5 of the Katsucast. This is the premier music podcast where we talk about our personal experiences in music production, and we try to help out some of you out there that are going through the same shit as us.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry for the little hiatus we had. My name is Kent, also known as Katsu Style. With me, as always, my co-host Will, aka Furamoda.
Yep. In
Hey,
the
Will.
building. How's it going, bud?
Terribly.
Yeah, as usual.
But it's been all right. I've been decompressing a little bit. We're hanging out for the last hour or two, just chilling, which is nice because usually when we try to set up for this shit, we spend an hour or two trying to fix all of our inputs and plug things in and make sure we have an audio feed. But no, this time we set it up while we were talking and we just kept dicking around and eating pretzels.
That is true.
Yeah, we took a little hiatus. A lot of stuff going on.
There is. You had a song release.
Yeah. I've got a new song out. 9 people have heard it. No, actually, it's got 20 plays on SoundCloud and 9 plays on YouTube. But I've got a new song. It's a remix of Massive Attack's song "Teardrop," which some of you might know as the opening for the show House. But yeah, I'm really super proud of it. I made a little video for it. So you should check that out on my YouTube and on my SoundCloud.
All of that.
I've been working my ass off.
We had a video too.
Yeah, I was editing that for like 3 or 4 weeks. Like
bet.
it was just constant. I'm so happy to have that out of my hair. I never want to hear that song ever again. But yeah, hopefully you all will want to hear that song. I do want to give a shout out to a YouTube channel, Zensed, Zensed, YouTube channel, and also a SoundCloud page. He or she shared my song on there.
Nice.
Thank you for helping me out there. They actually showcase a lot of really cool artists and songs. So go check out their channel. You're working on an EP. You're continuing to work on an EP. You're getting closer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, within the last couple of weeks, I've got a lot of work done. The track list is complete. I have the tracks I want. The mixes are done. All I have to settle now is a few final steps like mastering and distribution, and it should be soon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
It is. I like it.
Yeah. That's I'm very excited. You gave me a preview of the tracks the last time we recorded, and
Garbage.
Yeah. I hated all of it.
No, but I'll let you listen to the like. Even I told you before I played it.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, these mixes are trash.
You had the one that was like really out of whack, but everything else sounded. I remember it sounding serviceable.
Sounds way better.
That's exciting because
Way better now.
I wanna hear it. I'm very excited to see when that comes out
Soon.
But yeah, how about in your personal life? Well, how's that been going? Because mine's been going terribly. You want to hear some shit about my personal life?
Sure.
I got ID'd at the movies yesterday at an R-rated movie, so that's fun. I haven't done that's not happened to me in a very long time. For all the listeners out there, I'm only 16. No, I'm 28, but I got ID'd at the movies.
That's ridiculous, man. Like I don't even know, like how, what's going through that person's mind, man. Like I mean,
fuck this guy. That's probably what was going through her mind.
Maybe, yeah.
I got this little Asian baby in front of me. That's probably what she was thinking. Yeah. Also, this is unrelated to our professional endeavors, but I feel like it's a worthy story to share with you and the listeners. I was mulling this over in my head. I was like, should I talk about this? But I'm going to talk about it. I went on a date a couple weeks ago.
Ooh.
The first proper date I've had in a very long time.
Nice.
Yeah. It went really, really well. It was wonderful. We went to a little Mexican place / dive bar.
Okay.
Had some tacos.
Oh yeah.
And then we went to this like little retro arcade style pub.
That's dope.
Yeah. We got drunk and played a bunch of video games.
Oh,
We played Tekken Tag and Mortal Kombat and a bunch of pinball, and it was so much fun. I haven't had that much fun in a long time. Like it was great. And then we went down the street to this little park. There's a big fountain, and yeah, it was just us out there. It was just us in the night.
That's romantic.
It was so romantic, and we had a beautiful finish to the night. And she told me that she was keen for a second date. So
Nice. I'm excited for you.
thank you. She actively avoided me at a Target the other day. And now she's not answering me. So
I just knew. Like I knew there was gonna be a Kent twist in there. I was like, this is going way too well. This is going way too well for you.
the only reason I shared that story. I'll tell you, it's really fun when people avoid you online. It's another thing entirely when you witness somebody physically avoid you.
That's another level.
In public.
Yeah, that's another level. Man.
So that was that was my adventure a couple weeks ago.
That's fucking wild, man. Only you, Kent. I swear. I swear, man.
I was hoping you'd enjoy that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into it. Let's talk about news. I've got a news story here. Let me switch over. We actually I want to throw this out. We just passed the anniversary of Chester Bennington's passing because he passed away. It's been like I think a couple years now at this point. But he was one of my icons. Linkin Park was my first like favorite bands when I was a youngin. And he was a constant source of inspiration. So it's always sad to be reminded of that. But they made wonderful music. I made a song as a tribute to him. I took one of his a cappella tracks and sort of reinterpreted one of their songs. And
I remember that.
yeah.
I like that. That's
I
a nice
posted it
track.
a couple years ago. So, but yeah, rest in peace. And then I've got a news article here. Actually, unfortunately, dealing with another passing, but I think this is a very topical one, and one that should be talked about. But Art Neville, New Orleans icon, has passed away at the age of 81, which is, I think, it's a noble, it's a dignified age. He's had a long and successful life. This comes from NPR. One of New Orleans' iconic musicians has died. Art Neville, founding member of both the Meters and the Neville Brothers, died Monday at age 81. His death was confirmed by his nephew, Ivan Neville, and his manager of 2 decades. So apparently he had been in declining health for years, but obviously as a funk icon, I mean, you and I, we even a lot of stuff that we listen to now has a lot of the trappings of that genre, and obviously he was an icon of that style. So sad to see him go, but he had a long and illustrious life. So, but yeah, rest in peace. That's I need to stop picking sad news. I'll find something happier next time, I promise. Especially if I have more time to prepare, because I didn't prepare for this.
We had 3 weeks. Don't even give me that shit. Yeah, so I like to use this time to not necessarily give news, but to give like updates on things.
Okay.
I think that's kind of been what I've been doing.
Updates is a synonym for news, I guess.
But it's not like anything new per se. It's just something that I maybe recently learned or just want to share that's not related to the topic.
Will's news.
Sure. Sure, yeah. I just want to share something that I've actually used quite a bit in the last couple weeks.
Sure.
It's called musiccalculator.com. And this is a website where you can go and calculate different things like hertz to BPMs or vice versa. You can calculate milliseconds, like for delay times based on what BPM you have. If you want to find a specific one, like if you're using a effect or something that only does it in milliseconds.
Oh, like an outboard.
Yeah, and you're not quite sure how that relates to your song, your BPM.
Yeah.
Just go to Music Calculator, and they've already
That's kind of cool.
They have those formulas already there. So you type in the BPM of your track, and it'll give you, like I'm looking at it right here, BPM of 120. If you want like a 1/4 delay, that's 2 hertz or 500 milliseconds or 0.5 seconds. That's also, it gives you other things too, like what the notes are in hertz or whatever, if you're looking for some fine tuning.
That's kind of cool.
For your synth. Yeah, it's really neat. I've been using that lately for like my compressors and such to really fine tune.
So how does that apply to compressor settings?
Like attack times, release times. Very specific. Make it in tune with the beat, so it's not just all whacked out or too fast, too slow. Make it just that perfect time.
Yeah.
For it to kick in and let go to fit in with everything else, so you don't really hear the sound,
Yeah.
Yeah, and delays as well, because I know a lot of modern delays have the ability to link with the host BPM, but some don't. Some still run with Hertz
like
or LFOs run with Hertz a lot of the times.
That's true, yeah.
So this is just a perfect tool. Musiccalculator.com. I just usually have it on my phone and I have it on my desk when I'm working. And whenever I have to have some kind of calculation like that, I'll just pop it open.
You would have some shit like that open on your.
I do. I use a lot of numbers and shit in mine.
That's better than my approach to compressing, which is to close my eyes and hope for the best.
Yeah.
So far, I've done okay with it. Yeah, that's pretty neato.
Yeah, it's helpful. It's practical. It's a practical tool.
Did you see on the flip side? This is semi-related. Google had a tool, an AI tool that you could it was like a Bach music generator or something like that. So you could put in notes, and it would take those notes and interpret them, and then complete a 4-bar phrase in the style of I guess Bach. Adam Neely tested it on his YouTube channel, and it came out with some really wonky shit.
No, I didn't. I had no idea about that.
Yeah, it was really interesting. You could check out his video on it, but that also reminded me of, I saw something similar on Reddit, but a super jank version of it. Somebody was which I mean I'm not knocking this person. He actually posted personally on Reddit. He was like, "Hey, I made this tool. Use it and give me feedback." And it was basically I think it was like a chord or a melody generator. Like a web-based
an algorithmic
so you
generator.
would give it some parameters like how complex you want the melody to be, or what key you're in, or what the mood is. And I think there was only 2 or 3 moods, and then you would give it some notes, and then it would give you it gave me really, really wacky shit. I would have a cluster of notes at the start of a bar, and then 2 bars of emptiness, and then 1 note in the middle of the 4th bar.
Wow.
It was really, really it was interesting. I'm thinking he's probably improved it by now, but that I got a kick out of that.
For some reason, I thought you were just about to say, I think he's probably in prison now for making that.
Someone from Reddit kicked his door and was like, "You gotta stop.
FBI, open up."
He got swatted.
It kind of reminds me of Sound Emotes, RAPG, Rhythm and Pitch Generator. But that's a very fine-tuned tool that I've used for some cool ambient tones, and you can make it. It's an algorithmic melody and pitch generator, and you could just do really wacky things, and you can make cool textures or just background noises. And I've messed around with that a little bit lately. That's what that reminds me of.
That's interesting. Have you ever used Captain Kors or Cthulhu?
Nope.
This is episode 5. Welcome to Cheaters. What was the name of that episode?
Cheaters, yeah.
If you want to know more about chord generators and melody generators, go listen to episode 4.
Yep.
Cheaters, VSTs, chord generators, whatever the subtitle.
But this is not episode 4. This is episode 5.
Episode 5. It's a new day. It's a new week. It's a new month.
It's damn near a new month. Yeah.
But this is episode 5, and we're going to talk about. You've already seen it in the title, hopefully, or maybe you saw us pop up in your RSS feed, because people still use that with our podcast, right?
Sure.
Right? We have listeners, dozens of listeners all over the state.
The county.
Sorry, I'm really tired. This is getting started.
Getting started
in
in
production. I guess this could have been episode 1, but it's not. It's episode 5.
Because that's how we do things.
Mid-season finale.
Because that's always the way you start something, is by procrastinating for quite a bit. So that's a metaphor.
We didn't procrastinate. We planned ahead for the longest time, and then for 3 weeks we just.
Yeah.
I was too busy getting avoided at Target.
Several days in a row. Yeah. So getting started.
Getting started with music production. This is a multifaceted topic, I feel.
It is. And actually, the next 2 episodes are kind of going to build on this one.
It's part 1 of a trilogy.
Yeah.
The Newbie's Guide to Music Production trilogy. Part 1, expanded cinematic universe. We're going to do crossovers in the future, and then we're going to do a gritty origin story.
Oh, that'd be dope.
For music production.
I think it's funny how we did mixing before we did How to Get Started.
We did everything before we did How to Get Started.
We did.
This is episode 5.
Yeah.
Now. That's fine.
Yeah, getting started. So this is more, I feel like anyone can, I guess, learn something from what we're going to say. But
yeah.
would you say this is more geared towards somebody who's really just starting.
Yeah, just starting.
Yeah.
Like maybe they haven't even written a song ever in their life, or maybe they don't even play an instrument.
Do you like music? Do you want to start a career in music production?
Follow our 3-step easy course. If you like that, then we have a 10-step Furamoda master system. We normally it's $275, but you can get a low price of $325 this weekend only.
So yeah, I guess we're looking at this from the point of view of someone who wants to get started but doesn't know where to start.
That being said, this is going to be very broad. This isn't going to be
Yeah.
specific to any one VST or one DAW or one genre. It's going to be overall.
Generally,
Yeah.
we're gonna assume you have an interest in music. Obviously,
That's a good place to start.
we're not necessarily gonna assume you have any musical talent
Or experience.
or experience.
I think is a better way to put
No,
it.
no, I meant talent. Both. That's important to say. That is important to say.
Okay, well, let's also emphasize the fact that talent can be nurtured and
It can.
developed
It can.
and honed.
So let's go with that.
Okay. So I think I don't know if you agree because we didn't talk about this ahead of time, but I think the place to start with getting started in music production is not even to talk about production. It's to talk about music,
Yeah.
music theory, writing music, writing chord progressions, that whole thing.
Yeah,
I think that's a good place to start.
I have a coworker of mine who I kind of took under my wing and was teaching the ropes of production. And I remember him coming to me in the very beginning, and he was kind of deciding whether he wanted to like study like mixing, mastering,
I remember this.
or
I think we
like,
might have mentioned on the show.
composing.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, what do you want to actually do? He was like, I want to make music. I was like, okay, do you want to like mix other people's music or make your own? He's like, I want to make my own. I was like, okay, forget about mixing and mastering right now then, because you need to focus on composing, because that's what you actually want to do.
Yeah.
Because those are very distinct things, like two completely different disciplines that require different skill sets. So focus on the thing you want to do. So for the sake of this episode, we're assuming you want to make music. So I agree with what you said. You need to start at the actual process of writing music, chord progressions, things like that, scales. Get an instrument if you can, even if your instrument is. It doesn't matter what your instrument
It's like a
is,
shitty,
digital
like,
or
used
analog
keyboard.
Yeah,
you know?
digital or physical instrument, doesn't matter. Get that, play around with it, see what sounds you like, and then go into more detail. You can search more about theory, and you could look at things like how the scales interact with each other, modes, the different types of chords and the orders and what they're called, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever.
Yeah. So let's assume that like you don't have any sort of DAW. There's no sort of software involved. I would say you could just get like a cheap, like go to a pawn shop or a Guitar Center used. Get a little keyboard, a little 25 key keyboard, or maybe 50 whatever key keyboard. Just something to start, make sounds with.
Make
I
some
think
noise. Yeah, make some noise.
Step one is to get a
Yeah.
whole. It's not required, but it'd be easier. I mean, there's some I think web-based like keyboard tools, but I think the tactility of it will sort of help ingrain it into you.
I think I would even say you could just go ahead and start with a DAW, honestly, these days. I mean,
could.
A lot of them are just got free trials that the only limit is you can't save, but I mean, it's
That's
enough
true.
for you to actually play.
Okay,
Because you can
yeah,
play
yeah.
on your computer keyboard.
That's true.
Which
That's
is
true.
not great for learning how to play. But when there's nothing else.
But I can't play, so you can be like me, kids.
I mean, because that's how I started. When I first started, I didn't have a MIDI keyboard. I just
Okay.
had the typing keyboard. FL turns into the actual keyboard. So that's how I started.
All right, step one, scratch out what I said. It's gone out. Let's step one, get a free DAW, get a free trial on a DAW.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think both of ours are valid.
Yeah.
Get something that
Some way to
makes
make
some
noise. Yeah.
Make some music.
But yeah, I mean, you're right. You can very easily. Most of the major DAW, the different DAWs out there have free trials.
that are fully featured. You just can't
Exactly.
save or export. And in the very beginning, you're probably not going to be saving anything.
And then there is also free DAWs like Reaper, and or I think Reaper's low. It's a low cost / free DAW. Audacity, and I guess that kind of applies here.
I think that's only for recording.
Yeah, it's more audio based.
So, I mean, if you want to be a singer, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, you can just get into one of those DAWs. And like I said, there's also other free like keyboard tools just to make noise. But I think if we're talking about music, Like where would you say would be like starting step one? Like someone that doesn't have a background in music theory, where would you start them?
In theory,
Yeah. I want to make music. Where do I start? So we've got
well,
a
hopefully,
noisemaker.
hopefully, someone who has decided that they want to make music is because they like music, so they have good taste in music, and then they want to kind of create that into their own art. I read something, I don't remember the exact quote, but it was like, the reason you want to make music is because you have good taste or something. And I mean, I don't think that's always true.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you there's a certain genre you like and you want to try and recreate that, then you already kind of know what what you want your own stuff to sound like. Now, when you actually get into the process, that could change. But in the very beginning, I would say just kind of go on ear from what you already have heard. Like, I think that's I know that for me, it was by ear first, and I
Yeah.
kind of learned details later.
Yeah.
I just got around I was
That's kinda how I did it
comfortable
too.
with by ear.
Yeah.
And then I got into the nitty gritty of the theory behind it all, and that just helped solidify it.
Yeah.
I played in the orchestra, so I guess I did have a background already, but
Yeah.
that wasn't in my mind when I started production.
I think the easier place to start would be with like scales and chords.
As far as a specific topic to study, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a good foundation. And then what
C
you
major,
said,
good old C major.
yeah, just learn the scale and then learn, how like, the keys are numbered, and then from there learning how to build chords, because that's going to be the center, the foundation of any song. You
Yeah.
can't have, for the most part, in terms of mainstream music, you can't have, it's going to be hard to have a song without a chord progression or a scale or a key center. So I think, getting a way to interact with a keyboard, whether physical or virtual, sort of learn the basics of chords and scales and how to build them, and what the different functions are of each, scale degree, invert chords, things like that. And there's plenty, for anything that we talk about, there's dozens and dozens and hundreds and thousands of YouTube tutorials available for that
Oh,
sort
yeah,
of thing.
for sure.
I wish I had started, I kind of wish, we had these resources like when I was starting out, because when I started out, I was taking shitty piano lessons and that I hated as like an 8-year-old kid or whatever. And I would kill to have these resources now. Just fucking go on there whenever I want and learn whatever I want. But I think what you said is also really, really valid, is that the more fun way to do it would be to learn other songs that you enjoy listening to. That's how I taught myself guitar. That's the entire foundation of my knowledge in playing drums, is that I just played other music that I already liked. So find something that you like that's attainable for you to play, and learn it, and then you sort of start to get the muscle memory in there, and you start to figure out how to move around, the keyboard in this instance, and just sort of get a feel for it that way. But I think that's step one is, understand scales, get a cursory understanding of chords. I don't think you necessarily have to be able to, know each scale off the top of your head.
No.
But, just get like a general understanding. So that way when, you get into more intermediate tutorials and people talk about these things, you're not in the dark. So.
Because spoiler alert, once you know like the major types of scales, like for instance, major and minor, no matter what key they're in, the intervals are all the same.
Yep.
Spoiler, if you know the intervals, it's just fucking same.
Exactly. Yep.
You could start a song in C major and just downstep it a semitone, and now you're still in major for whatever that scale is. The interval is the same.
Yep. So
Yeah.
I think that's a good place to start. So moving from there.
Okay, so if you've already kind of understand like C major, and by the way, I don't know, let's just explain that for a second.
Sure.
For anyone who might not know, C major, if you're looking at a keyboard or a piano, C major is literally all the white keys.
Mm-hmm.
No black keys are involved in that scale. And for people that don't know, a scale is just a collection of notes.
Right. A given set of notes.
Yeah. So
that all work together.
Exactly. So C major is the collection of all the white notes.
Mm-hmm.
Not any black notes.
Yeah.
Side note, all the black notes together are the pentatonic scale.
Oh, hey.
That's just another thing. So yeah, that's just a side note there for anyone
But
who
especially
might not know.
starting out, because if you don't understand scales that well, but you understand the concept of scales. Like this is how I applied it: is that you can just isolate the given set of keys, this given set of notes that you're working with on a song, just isolate them to one particular scale, and then pretty much any of those notes will sound good with each other.
Yeah,
you don't have to worry.
That's
about,
the idea.
Yep.
A scale is a collection of notes that, when played together, have some sort of. Well, it's not even really about cohesion, honestly, because you can make a scale out of whatever you want. But the major and minor scales are, to us, they sound good.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is more about placing proper limitations on yourself.
Yeah.
Because we've talked about this before, it's very easy to get overwhelmed.
It is.
So especially with just starting to make a song, pick a scale, stick to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Limit yourself to only those white keys and start throwing notes in on top of each other and then see what works and what doesn't work. That way you're not having to worry about all the notes on the keyboard and which ones work and why this doesn't sound good and so on and so forth. As you get more comfortable with it, then you can get into like modal interchange and using the circle of fifths and doing that whole thing. But until then, limit yourself to one scale and start playing in that one scale that you pick, like C major. That's your sandbox. Throw in some bass notes, and then throw another note on top of that,
Yeah.
and then throw another note on top of that, and you got yourself a chord progression.
Yeah.
Which I think that's the next thing, is just to build a cool chord progression. You look at other chord progressions. Spoiler alert: there's like a handful of like chord progressions that get used over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So that's once you figure that out, I think you're like a third of the way there.
And just to give more detail on that, also, like I said, I'm looking at this from a very beginner perspective.
Sure.
If you don't know what a chord progression is, it's literally just chords after another.
Right. So chords is just a collection of more than one note.
Exactly.
And then a chord progression is a series of chords.
Yeah.
Usually to form some sort of coherent musical idea. Not
Yeah.
always, but usually that's the idea. That's why it's called a progression.
Usually there's like 4 chords in a progression maybe, and that repeats.
Yep.
And then you could switch it up. But that's what a progression is.
And just listen, listen more critically to your favorite songs, and you'll start to pick out those patterns.
Yeah.
You can hear where it repeats, and most pop music is, on a repeating sort of, 4/4
Yep.
sort of rhythm. So, listen, think of these things, and then listen to them, apply them, while you're listening, and then you'll start to see the pattern, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about scales, chords, chord progressions. What would be the next thing?
Well, I kind of guess it depends on what kind of music you're trying to get into, but
I mean, I think so. If we're talking about in production, we're usually compiling all the different elements ourselves: bass lines, melodies, harmonies, pads, leads.
well, see,
that
all of
stuff.
that is melodic. So, I mean, after you get a grip on chords, I mean, your melodic elements are going to be accounted for. After that, you have your percussive elements.
Yeah, but I was just thinking in terms of actually formulating a melody and a bass line.
Oh, like okay.
Yeah.
So I mean,
the point here being that from your chord progressions, the simplest way to look at it is your melody can come mostly from those top notes from your chords, and then your bass line can come from the bottom notes, the root notes in the chord. That's something that I don't think you and I would think about a lot, but this took me a while to figure out.
bass is for sure.
Yeah.
The root note of your chord, and root note means the lowest.
Yeah,
note.
the bottom note. I struggled with that because I overcomplicated my bass lines for the longest time because I didn't understand the function of a bass line, to really sort of root and anchor your
The whole chord,
progression.
yeah.
So I think understanding these functions would also help, and where they come from in your chord progression. So, because like I said, this took me a while to figure out.
For melodies, my approach was always just to kind of play around until I found something I like. So if you've already wrote a chord progression you think is cool, I would just my recommendation is just to play around on the keys and just play a melody until
That's
you find
true.
something you like. Because I mean, to this day, that's what I do.
Yeah.
I'd play around with a melody. I don't really think too much about it most of the time. I just play until I found something that I like, and then that's it. That's the one.
Pro tip, which isn't necessarily beginner, but you made me think of this. The way that I've been writing my melodies lately is if I'm writing something in a given key, like we'll just say C major, then I will write the melody in that scale's relative minor. And then so I'll throw those notes in and then make a melody out of that and then throw it back in with that chord progression. And usually I'll come out with something cool in there. So, but yeah, play around.
Play around.
Make
Yeah,
different
I think that's the
noises
biggest thing.
Yeah,
Like,
that's gonna be the biggest thing with everything that we're gonna talk about.
Pretty much. Just try it.
Keep trying.
Experience.
And keep,
yeah.
keep messing. So,
Mm-hmm.
do you think there's anything else that we need to sort of go over with regards to the music theory part of it? I think those are sort of the cornerstones.
After you get some good experience just messing around on your own, if you feel like you're making good progress, then just keep doing what you're doing.
Yep.
If
Keep
you feel
making
like-
different chord progressions.
Yeah, if you feel like you hit a roadblock, maybe just do a little bit more in depth. If you're the kind of person that learns by like studying this kind of stuff, there's plenty of resources online that describes music theory. You can go in, you can find some detailed information about like what the intervals are in tones and semitones and then different scales and scale degrees and all that.
Yeah.
So yeah, those resources are available. If you feel like you hit a roadblock, you can just always study something.
Yep.
Hopefully that'll get you past it.
Yeah, I mean, YouTube has been my saving grace.
YouTube
for
as
the last
well.
4
Yeah.
years. So, okay, so that's music theory.
It's a very
starting music theory.
easy, rough introduction to doing something, making some sounds. Yeah. Yeah.
And we'll put out some tutorials. You and I, we'll do something together, and we'll put out some tutorials to sort of supplement what we're talking about here in this episode.
Sure.
So let's so you think you know music theory? Let's go on to
Yeah.
production.
Okay.
The actual nitty gritty, putting it together. You started a song, you wrote a chord progression, you tinkered around and made a cool melody. You got the 4 on the floor, the bass notes going. How do you make this into a song?
No, you're gonna need a DAW for that.
Yep. So we started to touch on this. There's free
Yeah.
DAWs out there. You just Google free DAW. The one that I know the most is Reaper. That's very well regarded in the music production community from the circles that I've been in. And then the big boys, they all have their own free trials. Ableton, Fruity Loops, Cubase probably.
Bitwig.
Yeah. So get into those. And that'll allow you to sort of play around and get the feel for a particular DAW. I will say this. There is not any one DAW that is better than another. I think you'll agree with me on this.
Don't let anybody try to convince you otherwise.
Yeah. If anybody tries to tell you that Ableton is garbage and you should get FL or
vice versa.
Yeah, or Logic is the only way to go, fuck that person. That's stupid.
Yeah.
No, there's not any one DAW that's better than another. They all do the same shit. They just go about it in different ways. So find one and figure it out. They're gonna look probably really fucking confusing at first. I know that's how I felt with Ableton. I had no clue what I was doing. And you know what I did? I went to YouTube.
Yeah.
Look up a tutorial on how to start. This is gonna be. I feel like we're gonna repeat ourselves a lot for this, but that's really what it comes down to is see how it's done. We can only talk about it so much. You have to look at a tutorial and kind of see how it's done. You can go to my YouTube channel. I use Ableton, so you can kind of see how I use it. But yeah, find a DAW, anything that'll allow you to sort of compile these sounds, and then more playing. You gotta keep messing with it.
So I was on Reddit the other day and I saw a post that kind of relates to this. It was someone asking for how to get a good start.
Sure.
So basically what we're talking about right now. And one of the comments mentioned like get a DAW or something. And he was like, what's a DAW? So he was like, he didn't really know much of any of the lingo. So for anyone who doesn't know what a DAW is, we're saying DAW, D-A-W. It's an acronym for Digital Audio Workstation. It's the name of any of these programs where you can produce music.
Right.
So FL Studio, Ableton, so on and so forth. And what you're going to have inside of these DAWs is several things, but the two main things you're going to be messing around with are your VSTs and your mixer. So VST is Virtual Synth Track.
Yeah, I just had an existential crisis. I don't know what VST stands for.
Pretty sure it's Virtual Synth Track. I'm not sure. That really is not important
Yeah.
because no one ever will call it that. It's just a VST. But what a VST is, it's a digital instrument or effect. So whenever you have a synthesizer inside a DAW, that's a VST. It's just the name of that type of program that runs inside of the DAW. There's a massive amount of VSTs, and you can get a lot of them for free.
Yep.
But every DAW has some built in already.
Yes.
So as soon as you download whatever DAW you choose to download, you're going to have some available. They're going to be synthesizers or samplers or whatever, but the synthesizers are probably what you're going to start with. And then you have your mixer, which is what you might think of as a mixer in a physical studio. It's just a console used to control volume and effect levels of all of your VSTs. So that's going to be your main, like your the main two things you're going to be messing around with. Now, the way that they're laid out in the DAW is, like you said, different per DAW. It's all different. But as soon as you get an idea for where they are, you can start messing around with stuff. So the VSTs, without going into specific detail for every DAW that exists today, there should be just a way to go in and add an instrument or add an effect. And you want to just go in there, add an instrument. Like I said, everyone probably has their basic oscillator or synthesizer. Pick whatever one is available, and then you should be able to start making some sounds come out of your headphones or your speakers, whatever it is you're using. Don't worry too much about the interfaces of these VSTs right now, because they can be big and confusing with a lot of knobs and things to mess around with. Don't worry yourself with that. Just go ahead and play whatever sound it comes out with, and there's going to typically be a bunch of presets you can sort through to get different sounds. Just kind of cycle through those until you find a sound you like, and then focus more on your playing at this point. It's not so much about sound design yet. It's more about getting your musical knowledge up to snuff. So just make some noise. Again, just make some more noise.
Yep.
But now you're doing it within the DAW, so you're actually getting experience with the production side of things, working inside of that program.
Take it slowly. Because, like I said, this is, I think, the easiest stage at which to get severely overwhelmed is jumping into a DAW.
Yeah, for sure. If you have a friend that is familiar with production, go to them. I guarantee you they would be welcoming you. Like, I haven't met anyone personally that would be like, nah, fuck you.
Right, yeah.
All of my music friends would want to, like, show you how they do shit, because it's going to be different. So if you have that kind of resource, definitely use that. I'm sure they would like to give you a hand.
I think at this point, the really tempting thing would be to get into a DAW, try and figure it out for 10 minutes, get frustrated with it, jump to another DAW, and repeat that process forever until you get tired of it. Stick with it. Be vigilant. Look up these tutorials. All these, especially, the major DAWs will have their own help guides integrated. So you can, and they'll usually have like a tutorial song, like a tutorial project already loaded in. You can kind of see how everything works. One thing I will say is that if you feel like you are getting up against a brick wall and you can't, you're sort of, you're just lacking inspiration, or you're trying to figure out how to do a particular thing, I think branching outside of what you're trying to make is a good way to find some good resources. So let's say you're writing future bass and you're having trouble, with a particular, let's say, sound design with regards to the drums, or you're having issues with a particular kind of melody, or you want to get ideas for a cool arpeggiated rhythm. Don't worry about looking up a future-based tutorial for a cool melody. Just look up any general tutorial about, any sort of melody writing, or, making arpeggios, or, just don't limit yourself to one particular sort of, I'm making this kind of music, so I need this kind of music followed by tutorial. I found all sorts of different sources of inspiration from different, like, just the most random, like, general piano tutorials even. I'll get a cool idea for, some weird arpeggiated something that I'll throw into a synthwave song. So, use all your resources. Don't limit yourself just to one very specific subgenre of, tutorials.
And keep listening to other music too.
That's the biggest thing, is listen to other music, listen critically to other music, and try to pick it apart, and think to yourself, I wonder how they made this sound, or why does this lead sound like this and this one sounds like this. So
because emulation goes a long way for trying to learn something. Now, I don't recommend doing that all the time. I mean, eventually you should reach a point where you feel comfortable doing your own stuff without emulating someone. But in the very beginning, when you're trying to figure out how things work, definitely have something like, I want to try and recreate that, or I want to try and play that. Definitely
See, I'm on the opposite school of thought, which is I still use emulation, not all the time, but I will sometimes use emulation as a source of inspiration. And I
Yeah.
will say that it could go either way. Either one, I will make an exact copy of the thing I was emulating, and then I have to throw the project away. Or as I'm working on emulating that sound, I will find something cool and then go off in my own direction.
Create a new sound. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think emulation is a really good way to have a reference point so that you know what the end goal should look like, and you have a better idea of how to actually get there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of artists that do that sort of stuff. They'll have their own half-hour long tutorials on YouTube where they're like, hey, this is how I made the song. And other people always make here's my recreation of whatever song. And a lot of times they'll even make the project file downloadable, so you can just download the whole fucking project file and look at how
All the
everything is
steps.
laid out, and then
Yeah.
you can turn shit on and turn shit off and delete stuff and move it around and see what's doing what and all that cool stuff. So yeah, I at this point I wouldn't even say worrying about like compressors, limiters, EQ, like fuck all of that. Don't worry about any of that shit.
No, not yeah. Not
'Cause,
I
yeah,
mean,
at this
maybe
point-
some creative effects like
Delay,
reverbs or delays if you
yeah.
want, but I wouldn't even mess with that too much right now. I would focus on making good noises,
Cohesive,
good
yeah.
cohesive sounds.
Yeah. Yeah, don't worry about compressors.
Because
EQs
no
and-
amount of effects is gonna turn shit into better shit.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
It's just not. Like an effect's not gonna make something that is very dissonant sound harmonic magically. Like it's just not gonna work like that. It's not gonna make it sound. I mean, I say sound better in the sense that it's not going to turn a crappy chord progression into a better chord progression. It's still going to be a crappy chord compression, but you just drowned it in reverb. Like,
Yeah.
so don't get yourself too, because just like synthesizers, how they're maybe confusing to look at first, so are effects. Like effects can confuse the hell out of you
Yeah.
too, maybe even more. I know I still feel like that sometimes, like that effects are a little bit more complicated to mess around
Yeah.
with than synthesizers sometimes, but that's just me. But yeah, focus on one synth that you have, play with that a lot, get some cool sounds, use presets, make some cool melodies and chord progressions, and then you're on to maybe learning some more advanced things like effects or
Yeah.
just more layers, percussive elements, drums and such. You need good samples for that, which most of these DAWs include samples as well. At least some very basic drum samples.
Like drum samples, yeah.
Yeah, so that should pretty much all be included. Everything you need should be included.
And don't be afraid of prepackaged samples or loops or
Yeah.
presets.
You can get those a lot.
If you want to know more about that, listen to our last episode on
Yeah.
on presets and samples and loops.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid of it. Use it. It's there for your use for a reason. So get started with that. And like I said, just make a bunch of noises. You're gonna make a bunch of noises, and then that's gonna make a song. And you know what? That song's gonna sound like garbage. And then you move on, and you make another song. And you keep doing that over and over and over again.
Yes.
It can be very tempting to. It's obviously put that song out for people to give you feedback, but I think I think you've seen this too. I've seen this where someone will post on Reddit. They'll be like, "Hey, I've been doing this for a week. I just made my first song. How do I get it on Spotify?"
Yeah. Hold on.
Chill the fuck out. Slow the fuck down.
Yeah.
Like just and the responses on that were all like, you know what you do now? You throw it away, you make another song.
Yeah.
So fun fact, and I'm not going to tell you what the URL is, but my first songs I've ever made are still on my SoundCloud. Like not on any of the ones that I
Yeah.
have. Like it's not Katsu Style music, it's not Cyberdyne Fury, but it's on
I have
another
that.
SoundCloud.
Yeah.
My first stuff is still on there. I don't want to delete it. I'm gonna leave it up there. Yeah, if you wanna go back. But yeah, I think that's most of the basic sort of pillars. I think.
It is, yeah. Yeah, and about releasing stuff when you first start, I mean, unless you already had a background playing an instrument and you feel comfortable with these things, if you're really starting from ground zero, like we've been approaching this topic, which is not even with theory, I would kind of say give yourself like an incubation phase. And I mean, the stuff that you're first going to make, don't expect it to be great.
Yep.
Because you are learning a lot of things all at once.
It's gonna sound weird. It's not gonna sound like your reference track. It's not
Yeah.
gonna sound like that one guy that you really like his song. It's not
Yeah.
gonna sound like that. It's just not.
So give yourself incubation period where you don't really put everything out that you make. You make a song you save it as MP3 or whatever. You listen to it for yourself, and then make another song. Do the same thing. Listen to a couple more until you feel confident enough to play it to someone, and then see what other people think about it. And then, as with any kind of feedback, use that as like use that feedback critically as like an enhancer for you to take that and be productive with it. Not really like, oh, I fucking suck. Like, it's very easy to do, especially, I mean, anytime with art, I feel like people, I mean, this is a very personal thing.
Yep.
So anytime you get feedback, you're going to take it personally. But you need to try and limit that if you're really trying to get better, because what you need to understand is when people giving this feedback, it's not about, they're not giving you like, they're not trying to talk shit about you. They're just trying to say that the art that you're making needs some improvements. They're not saying that you suck as an individual. It just happens to be that you maybe aren't where you need to be. And remember that music, as any other art form, is subjective. So, I mean, I still might have people today that don't like my stuff, even though I like it a lot. I mean, you can't please everyone all the time.
Right.
So find someone who might even be in the same boat as you. Maybe they're also just starting. And or like we were mentioning earlier, if you have another musician friend who maybe he makes something that you like, get them to listen to it, see what they think about it, and they might be able to give you some more helpful feedback. And
I
just
think
use that.
I just got a message on Facebook. I think I think Reddit is a good place to reach out for feedback. I've seen a lot. There's a lot of feedback threads there, and I've seen some really good feedback go around there. A lot of it is like, you to get feedback, you have to give feedback to someone else. So
Which is cool.
It's an easy way to get feedback. Yeah, I think being diligent about it, walking before you run, and even if you want somebody to listen and give feedback to your music, I might be opening the floodgates here. I don't know how you feel about this, but speaking personally, I don't mind if you want to send me music. I'll listen to it and I will give you my severely uninformed opinion. No, in all seriousness, if you want to send me something, I will listen to it and kind of give you my opinion. I don't know how valuable it will be depending on the genre, but I don't mind. I like doing this sort of thing. I like critiquing other people's stuff, and I always appreciate getting feedback myself. So I know that for some of you out there, if you're having trouble finding somebody to send something to, I will listen to your things, and you can. All my social links are in the description, but yeah, I don't mind that. I don't know how you feel about it, Will, but I would be okay with that for myself.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah, so send us music, and then we can always give you feedback. So. Do we have anything else to talk about on this topic, or I feel like those are most of the. Step 3, branding. Make a good logo.
No, we're not there yet. No, not there yet.
Step 3, merch.
Step 3, make big bucks. Yeah, no, not there yet. That's really the basics, man.
Yeah.
Learning how to make noises that fit together well, and then keep doing that.
Keep making it
to get better and better. I feel like everyone's at that stage, honestly. I mean, if you're not continually getting better, you kind of just plateaued and you're no longer furthering your own skill. So, I mean, yeah, you should always be striving to get better. There's always something to learn, and there's always even something to learn from someone who might not even be as far along as you are. Like, I mean, I, for instance, my coworker I was talking about earlier, who kind of taken under my wing for production. I mean, even hearing his point of view, because he started with FL like I use. So even seeing him do things as a beginner, but it's things that I didn't really think about doing in my workflow, I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Like, even just seeing someone else's perspective might give you a little bit of information you can use. But yeah, I mean, just keep doing it. You just got to keep doing it. That's really it. It's not going to be overnight, but if you love it enough to put the time in to get better, it'll come to you.
Yep, absolutely.
It's not rocket science.
Yeah, start. I think again, being diligent. If you really take your time to walk before you run, it'll take you a long way. So.
Yeah, for sure.
There are things that I wish I'd focused more on when I started out. So yeah, take your time, make cool stuff. It's pretzels on the floor.
You are not alone. That's what you should also know. A lot of people are in the same position, and most people that you're listening to started in that position.
Absolutely, everybody you're listening to started in that position.
So yeah, that's that's the grind you go through. That's what it's all about.
If you can find my SoundCloud with my early work on it, I'll give you a prize. That prize being my shitty music from a long time ago, from 2013.
I have an entire hard drive full of old tracks.
Oh yeah, me
It's
too.
crazy. It's the
Me too.
archive, man. It's the
Yeah.
archive. I still go back and listen to it.
I'll tell you the
every now
very
and then.
first thing I ever made wasn't even in a DAW. It was with my keyboard, like my actual like Yamaha keyboard, and it wasn't MIDI. It was just a fucking keyboard that I would use for my piano lessons. That has string preset on it. It just sounded like garbage. It was like that, like just really. I don't even know if there were chords, but they weren't like I didn't know what the fuck a chord was. I was just putting notes together. That and then some drums. I played like I had my drum set at the time, so I played some drums over it. And then for all you listeners out there, I used to scream in a metal band when I was a kid, so I did some of my vocals over that. All recorded with a shitty little computer mic that was probably the size of a quarter, made of plastic that came with like a webcam. This is 2005 or 2006. This is a long time ago. So that was the first thing I ever made. It's long lost. I wish I still had it because I would absolutely put it on here. But that was the first thing I ever made.
I can't remember the first thing I ever
Really?
made. Yeah.
Not even an MTV music generator?
That's what I'm thinking
Is
of.
it because
And
you put it out of your mind because that one guy said you sucked?
No. It was just so long ago. I don't know, man.
Yeah,
I was
no,
like
that's-
12. I don't know. I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember being really stoked on that when I threw that together.
I remember first getting FL Studio coming from MTV Music Generator, and then after that, Magic's.
Yeah.
Going to FL, I was like, holy shit, this is dope.
I was freaking out. I was so frustrated when I started with Ableton. I had no clue what was going on. It took me a very long time. And even now I'm still not even 100% like confident in it. I can get my way around, but god damn, it can look really wonky. But don't get discouraged.
No, keep on it.
Keep at it.
Yeah, and then hopefully you'll be set to make some great music that other people will enjoy.
Absolutely. Speaking of enjoying other people's music,
Yeah,
let's go on to now playing.
sure.
Before I get into my artist, I want to talk about I mentioned an artist like it was a couple episodes ago, Veillance, his song Pastel Skies. He has an EP out now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he messaged me on SoundCloud and was like, hey, I listened to the episode, it was great, thank you so much. But he also sent me, he was like, hey, I've got my EP out, check it out. And I listened to it, I'm telling you, it's so fucking good.
Oh, yeah?
It's so good. So everything is mastered, and I think some arrangement stuff might be a little bit different on the title track, but yeah, I gave it a listen. It is on all the major streaming platforms. I listened to it on Google Play Music the other day, and it's just so good. So yeah, go listen to his new EP. I'll leave a link in the description.
I'm about to check that out.
Yeah, it's good stuff. If you like just really just chill lo-fi, just smooth vibes, it's so good. It's so good. So, but yeah, I want to talk about an artist. Let me switch over here. This is an artist called Keyzik. I think I'm saying that right. Keyzik. I talked to him on Instagram. He seems like a cool dude. But I like the stuff that he puts out. So this is one of his songs, No Doy Mas. So sort of like a chill, kind of like trappy sort of rhythms and some really smooth vocals. But I've been really digging this. So that's the track that I wanna feature here. Keyzik, No Doy Mas.
I'm excited. Let's hear it.
Chica, ya no doy más, me tienes cansado de esperar. Siempre lo mismo, atrapado en abismo, lo nuestro no da pa' más. Oh, me tienes cansado de esperar. No, ya no debes de rogar. No, sé que yo soy suficiente, tu fantasía viviente. No lo desprecies, tú sabes que no tenemos el tiempo suficiente. Ya no te des de rogar, me tienes cansado de esperar. Siempre esquivando y poniendo excusas para salir y avanzar. Oh, así tú me perderás. No, lo nuestro no irá pa' más. Yo sé muy bien lo que busqué, no hay más de ti sin yo saber. Quiero buscar lo pasado sin mucho estropearme y dejarme de lado. Tus amigas te lo dicen, yo no hablo pa' que avisen. Una vez lo dijiste, seguro que algo hiciste. Una vez me hacer algo, estoy libre. No esperes mañana, solo aprovechemos lo que nunca pude cumplirte. Oh, vamos a lograrlo y más. No, lo nuestro es algo especial. Ya no debes de rogar, me tienes cansado de esperar. Siempre esquivando y poniendo excusas para salir y avanzar. Solo vamos por parte, lo nuestro no es lo de antes. Estamos atascados corriendo del tiempo, solo falta lo que nos salve. Oh, así tú me perderás. No, lo nuestro no irá pa' más. Oh, vamos a lograrlo y más. Oh, lo nuestro no irá pa' más. Quiero volver al pasado, quizá y lo hubiera logrado. Lo nuestro se haría salvado, no estaríamos atrapados. Tengo mi vida y mis sueños colgando de toda emoción que me va generando. Y al final lo que pase, no importa lo que nos pase. Solo recuerda que no vas a estar tirado pensando lo que pudimos lograr. El avión en tu casa en the USA, con lágrimas te acordarás. Ya me pedí a grabar una canción para jugar, meterte al estudio, dejar tonto aquí si que él te pusiera a brillar. Ya no te des de rogar, me tienes cansado de esperar. Siempre esquivando y poniendo excusas para salir y avanzar. Oh, así tú me perderás. No, lo nuestro no irá pa' más. Oh, Keyzik on the beat, yeah. On the beat, on the beat. It's around midnight. Oh, oh. Date las caras. Puro love for everyone.
All right, so that was No Doi Mas by Keyzik. I like the warmth and the vocal quality. The whole thing has this really nice warm sort of saturation to it, but I really like the vocal quality is what really drew me to that. He's got a lot of really cool stuff like that has that nice warm sort of saturated tone, like lo-fi, really melodic stuff. So yeah, I'm digging it. If you want to hear more, you can go to, I should probably have had this pulled up ahead of time. If you want to hear more, you can go to his Instagram, instagram.com/Keyzik. That's Keyzik. He has also got SoundCloud, and I exited out of the tab, so I have to pull it back up. SoundCloud.com/Keyzik. As always, the links will be in the description. But yeah, check him out. It's good stuff. Well, what do you have for now playing?
So I want to play an artist I really like called Bad Snacks.
Mm-hmm. I know the artist. She's really dope.
She's a super dope producer.
Yeah, I've seen her stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, she has a lot of videos on YouTube. This is from an EP that she put out last year called Neat Tape 1. The song in particular is called Let's Go 299 Mil. It's just super funky. Like, it's got this super crazy bass line that I love. It just drives the beat. It just doesn't stop. And I love the mix of like hip hop and funk with just like some really cool percussion. And it's just an all around. It's just a dope, like, driving down, windows down, this cranked up.
That's always my favorite. I'm a sucker for that.
It's great, yeah.
I'm excited. Let's hear it.
Let's hear it. Yeah, this is Let's Go by Bad Snacks.
All right, so that was Let's Go 299 Mil by Bad Snacks. I was digging it.
Dope record.
I knew I would because I already like her work as it is, but yeah,
That's my favorite from the mixtape. It's so cool.
my favorite thing is like the old 50s like Japanese folk music at the beginning that gets,
yeah.
that gets tape stopped out. That's cool. That's
That was
a cool
a dope
touch.
sample.
But yeah, I like the movement in the bass line. That sort of like upwards movement. Like it's repetitious to a point, and then it glides up, and then it comes back down, and it's just got that really smooth sort of movement.
It just keeps flowing.
Yeah. Flow is a good way
Keeps
to
it
say
going.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good stuff. If you want to hear more, you can go to soundcloud.com/bad-snacks. She's also on Bandcamp, badsnacks.bandcamp.com.
And on
So-
YouTube.
And on YouTube, yeah, she's got a lot of tutorials out. So
Yeah.
that's how I found out about her, was through her tutorials. So
It's really dope.
Go on to YouTube. Don't watch her tutorials. Watch mine. All right. All right. So I think that about wraps it up.
I think so.
That was a good. We had a good little episode here.
Hopefully you learned something.
You've been holding that pretzel for a while there.
I don't want to eat it right now. Live on air. That's not proper live etiquette.
All right. So if you wanna talk to us, you can find me at Katsu Style Music on all the social medias. Will, where can they find you?
At Furamoda, wherever. Well, not wherever.
You're not wherever.
Instagram, SoundCloud. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. If you have any suggestions for the show, let us know. If you want to get a feature, we'll put your music on. And if you had any struggles getting started out, or if you are starting out and you're struggling, what struggles are you going through? Let us know. Talk to us.
Yeah.
What advice, if you're more experienced, what advice would you give to other people? Yeah,
All
let us
that.
know.
Yeah.
Let
Good
us know.
stuff.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks so much.
Cut it.